Yes. Yes, ma'am.
So, good morning, students.
Good morning,
Good
ma'am.
morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes, very good morning. Yes. So, last class, let me give you a quick recap on what we did. We looked into the 7 important steps of how we can map ER diagram into the database. That is, if we have the ER diagram ready with us, with and all the possibilities, that is entities, attributes, relationships, how they are related, partial, total, and multi-valued attributes, all this, if you have your ER diagram completely ready, then how you can transform it, how you can map it into a set of tables and create your database. This is what in the last class we saw, the 7 important steps. We took the stepwise example also to see how we can go about it. Okay, so today let us continue with what is called as relational model and relational algebra. This is also a very important concept. Actually, this is seen as a separate chapter itself, but in this your syllabus they have included ER model, relational model, then normalization, everything they have put in the same unit. Okay, it's not properly separated out is what I'm feeling. Anyways, so let us continue with what exactly is relational model and relational algebra. Now, in the lab sessions, we have seen how we can write queries using SQL, correct? We can also write the same query using what is called relational algebra. So the notations will be slightly different, but you can still write the same query using this relational model or the relational algebra. So we'll also be trying to write a couple of queries. Though in your lab we are using only SQL, we should also learn but how to write queries using relational algebra. Okay. Now, what are we going to discuss in this particular part of this second unit is, we'll first look into what do we exactly mean by relational model concepts. What are the relational constraints and what do we mean by a relational database schema? What are certain update operations, how it can be done, and how we can deal with constraint violations. That means if you try to violate some constraints, then what are the possible violations that you can do is what we are going to learn. Okay, so first a simple introduction on what exactly is a relational model. So relational model is a collection of mathematical principles, and this was actually proposed by CORD. We also have something called CORD rules. Okay, so the first commercial implementations of this relational model was SQL and some Oracle DBMS. These all came into picture in the early 1980s. But then later on, of course, today we have so many RDBMS and we have OVO-DBMS also in place. Okay, this is history of how it all came about. Okay, this is our important concept that we'll have to look into. Okay, now what do we mean by a relation? In the last couple of classes, I have been telling you there is a difference between relation and relationship, right? When I say relationship, it is always what? The association between more than one entity, or the association between two entities or more than two entities, you call it as a relationship. Relation means what? Relation in case of relational model or in case of relational algebra, we call a table as a relation. Are you all able to see the change of slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Yes. So what is a relation? A relation may be thought of as a set of rows, or a relation may be thought of as a set of columns. Okay. In other words, in simple words, a relation is nothing but a table. A table itself is called as a relation. In the concept or in the nomenclature of a relational algebra or a relational model, a relation means a table. That's all. So a relation is a table which is consisting of rows. Rows are also called, here in this case of relational algebra, rows are called as tuples, columns are called as attributes. Now what is each row? Each row is nothing but one particular entities, one particular instance, correct? That is what we saw. Each row corresponds to a real world entity or a relationship. So each row will have a value of an item or set of items that uniquely identifies that row in the table. So obviously when I try to create a relation called as student, every row is going to identify one particular student. So every row will have different values for the same set of attributes. Okay, so the name of table, sometimes row IDs or sequential numbers are also assigned to identify the rows. That means sometimes you give student ID as one column you make use of. So student ID 1, student ID 2, 3, like that you go on numbering. That using that also obviously you can identify the different rows. Name of the table and columns are necessary to interpret the meaning of the values. So obviously you have to give a proper name to this table and to the columns. So I cannot call the table as factory, and then put the attribute or columns as USN, student name, department name, something like that. Is it not? It should be related, and you should be able to. It should be meaningful rather. That is what we meant to say. Name of table and columns, they are necessary to interpret the meaning of the values. When I say column name is name, that means I know that that particular column is going to have the values of the student's name. Each column is called by its column name or column header, or you call it as a attribute name. Okay, so that's all. This is all is a very simple concept. What we have learned in this slide is, what do we mean by a relation? Relation means what? It is nothing but a table. A table is also called as relation. You can see it as a set of rows, you can see it as a set of columns, or you call it as a table consisting of rows and columns. Everything is fine. So relation means it's a table. Relationship is different, relation is different. I will keep repeating this because this concept is very important. Relation means table. Relationship means the association between different entities, which we saw in the last classes and all. So each row is a corresponding real world entity. So each row is going to represent a particular student, is it not? When you enter a student details. Row is also called as a tuple. Column is also called as a attribute. This much you should remember. And you should always give proper names to table and columns, so that they are going to interpret the meaning of what value you have entered. Make it meaningful. You cannot give something and all, is it not? Right. So this is a pictorial representation of the relation. Relation means what? Table. Okay. Relation or table, both are the same. So this is an example of a table. Each of this is called as an attribute. This is another attribute. This column, this is another column. When you see this whole thing as a row, it is called as a tuple. Whereas columns are called as attributes, right? Okay. Any doubts so far? We saw what is relation, how do you represent it, what is a tuple, what is an attribute. That's all. Now, next we come to an important concept which is called as domain. I would have told all this previously also, but still again with respect to relational algebra, we will be discussing once again. Domain means what? I said it is nothing but a set of atomic indivisible value for each attribute is called as a domain. That means what? It is a set of values which are permitted, which are allowed for that particular attribute. Okay, a domain has a name, data type, and a format. So phone number, let us say. So these are the examples given here. Look at the examples. What are the example? Phone number. Phone number means what? It should have only 10 digits. All possible combination of 10 digits, let us say, is the allowed value for the attribute phone number. I cannot have a phone number 12 digits, means it should not accept. That is called as domain. Domain means what? A set of what are the values that are allowed, what are the values that are permitted for that particular attribute. You call it as a domain. So when I say employee age, all possible age between 20 to 70 only. So I cannot have an employee who is just 10 years old. I cannot, or I don't want an employee who is 80 years old. Correct? So that means 20 to 70 is the only set of values which are allowed for the attribute age when it comes to an employee. Okay, you have to always see it with respect to the context. All right, now suppose election database you are trying to build. Okay, so in the election database, obviously you will have an entity called as voter, correct? Voter will have an attribute called as age. So again, there is a domain for that age. You cannot have anybody less than 18. That is the domain. 18 to anything greater than or equal to 18 is an allowed or permitted value for that particular attribute called as age with respect to the voter in the election database. So I cannot say, okay, 2-year-old kid will come and then I accept that kid as a voter. That is not possible. So domain means what are the values that are allowed? What is the range of values that are allowed for that particular attribute? That you call it as a domain. Now, I gave you another example also in the other class. Name. Let us say name of the student. So all possible combinations of the 26 letters of the alphabet, I call it that, is allowed. That is the allowed permitted values for name. I don't want any numericals. I told you the other day, Louis 14 or let's say James 2, like that I don't want. Okay, so I want only possible combinations of letters only is allowed. Numericals are not allowed. So that is again a domain for the name. These are all examples you can go on giving. Now, what do we mean by a relational schema? We have written lot of, we have written a couple of schema diagrams and we saw what is all about it. Is it not? What is a relational schema? It is another schema means what? What's a schema? Anyone? What is meant by schema? All right. Nobody is there. I'll mark all of you absent. Schema is nothing but the description of the database. Right? Now, when I say relational schema is a relation name and a list of attributes. How did we write schema? We wrote, let us say student is the table name followed by what all attributes that student has we have written. That is what you called it as a schema. Then let us say we wrote department followed by department. We wrote all the attributes of the department. That is called a schema. That same thing we have defined here. Relational schema is nothing but a relation name and a list of attributes. R is the name of the relation here. A1, A2, A3 and so on up to AN is nothing but the set of attributes. So that's what is written. R is a relation. A1 to AN is a set of attributes in the relation R. So you can always specify what is the domain of AI. That is domain of A1. You can always tell. One more important thing, degree of the relation. Degree of relation is nothing but the number of columns that are there in the table. You call it as degree or the arity of relation. Degree of a relation means it always talks about the number of columns. What is degree of a relationship? Can I have some answer?
The number of attribute.
Degree of a relationship, I'm asking. Degree of a relation is the number of attributes, which I told now. Degree of a relation means degree of a table. So degree of relation means it is nothing but table. So degree of a table means the number of columns or the number of attributes in the table. You call it as degree of the table. What is degree of a relationship?
For how many attributes, for how many entities it is connected to.
Correct. Very good. Yes. Yes.
Number of relations.
Right. Number of entities which are participating in a relationship, you call it as degree of a relationship. Relationship. That is relationship. This is relation. Understand that. The number of entities which are participating in that relationship, you call it as a degree of that. 2 entities are participating means that is a binary relationship, degree is 2. 3 entities are participating in that supply relationship. So supply relationship is a ternary relationship because 3 entities are participating. So degree of that supply relationship is 3. But when we talk of degree of a relation means table. Degree of a relation is nothing but the number of attributes or the number of columns that you have in the table. You call it as degree of a relation or arity of a relation. Please remember, relation is different, relationship is different. Degree of a relation is different, degree of a relationship is different. All right. This is the example of a relational schema. So which is a relation here? Student is the relation. This is how we wrote some schema diagram, if you remember. Followed by the relation name, you have the attributes, that is USN, name, address, DOB and GPA. These are all the attributes of that particular relation called as student. So you call this as a relational schema. Schema is nothing but description of the database.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
But when we wrote the schema diagram, the student, it is an entity. Why are we calling it
Why are we calling it
as a relation?
What is a relation? Relation is a table. Okay. Did you get that? Relation is a table. Relation is also nothing but a table. Relationship is different. Relation is different.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So student is an entity. Correct. But once you write the ER diagram in the last class, yesterday's class, what did we say? All entities can be converted into tables. You can create a table for an entity. Correct. Now, student is called as, in case of relational algebra or relational model concept, you call a table as a relation. So in this case, the student is a table, or a student, you can call this student as a relation, or you can call it as a table also. No problem. Entity itself, you are writing it as a, converting the strong entity into a table. What is the disturbance? Anindra, can you please mute?
చేసుకోవచ్చు అనుకుంటాను ఆప్షన్ నుండి వాళ్ళే బుక్ చేసే ఆప్షన్ ఉండదు.
Am I clear, Raman?
Yes, ma'am.
Did I answer your doubt?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So a student, you are going to create a table for the student, or you call that table as a relation. Followed by these attributes, you call it as a relational schema. Student is a table or student is a relation, followed by the attributes. What is a relational schema? It is a relation name and a list of attributes. So relation name is student and a list of attributes. So what is the relation name here? It is the student. What are the list of attributes we have? USN, name, address, DOB and GPA. Okay, domain of name. Like this, what is domain means what? All the permitted possible values for a particular attribute, you call domain of that attribute. What are the values that are allowed for that particular attribute is what you call it as a domain. So domain of name means, for example, domain of this attribute name is nothing but all possible names. What is the degree of this relation? There are 5 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 columns. So the degree of this particular relation or table is nothing but 5. Any questions still here? Anyone? Any doubts?
One, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, when we wrote the schema diagram for that first program, we have taken borrow as relationship.
Borrow. Yeah, borrow is a relationship. Correct.
So for that, ma'am, if you want to write the relation schema, we will take borrow as a.
No, we have created for borrow a table, is it not?
Yes, ma'am.
We created or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so we can write that as a schema. We can write a schema diagram for that.
For that, we can call it is a relation for which we are writing a table.
Sorry, come again.
Ma'am, if we use borrow and write the attributes of the borrow,
Okay.
We can call borrow as a relation having this following attributes.
Yeah, you can call because you are creating a table anyway for borrow. Table is nothing but relation. Relation is nothing but table.
Okay.
Yeah, relationship is different. You got the difference between relation and relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
Relation is different. Relation is nothing but a table. You are creating a table for borrow there. Have you created or not?
Yes, ma'am. Great.
Yeah, yeah. So we have brought it in the schema diagram also. Right. Okay, let's continue. Using the data type of each attribute. So we all know that how we have already created some tables and gone through it. So this is a student is a stable name followed by what is a column name is USN. What is the data type of that USN is string. Again, you have the next attribute is name. Data type of that name is string. Again, you have address as a column name. Data type is string. DOB date. GPA, we have taken it as a real number here. So same way what we have actually created. What did we do? We said create table student USN varchar2 of some size. Is it not? So here they have shown it very generally. We have stuck to the Oracle conventions. That's all. Now, R of R always denotes a relation R on the relation schema. I'll come to this later. Of the relation schema, R of what is the relation schema is always represented like this. The relation name or the student name followed by the set of attributes that are there. Okay. And it is a set of n tuples. That means your relation will also, that means your table will always have n number of tuples. Student, when I create that table, how many tuples means what here? Rows. How many rows it will have? Suppose I create a second semester student table. How many rows it will have? It will have all 58 rows. Right? So each row R is a instance. Each row is going to contain T1, T2, T3 up to R is nothing but the entire set. Okay, so it is going to contain these many number of tuples. Tuples means rows. Each tuple is going to contain a set of values. Name is a value, USN is a value, third column is date of birth is V3 is a value, GPA is a value. So like that, every tuple means what? Row. Every row is going to contain a set of values. Each value again is associated with that particular attribute. So VI, that means a value USN value of USN is nothing but the attribute associated with the attribute USN. Value name is associated with the attribute name. Like that you can represent it. So here R is a schema of the relation. R, this capital R is a schema of the relation. R of R is a specific value set on the population R. So one particular value set I call set of values. One particular set of values I represented it by small r. That means if there are 10 students, that collection of 10 students I call it as a specific value set it is. That is nothing but represented by small r. So here in the previous classes we have seen entity type and entity set, relationship type and relationship set. Here also R is called as the intention. The set of all the collection of values, you call it as the small r or the extension. For example, this whole thing you call it as intention. This is my R schema. We are going to enter, let us say, some 5 values under this. That collection of 5 values, you call it as small r or you call it as extension. Right? See here. This is what is your intention. Student, relation name, all the attributes we are given. This is your set of tuples which you call it as extension. Collection of all your records you call it as extension. Right? So this is what the relationship type. This is your relationship, relation type and relation. This is set. Collection of each of these records you call it as relation set. Intention, extension. The student or the relation name is represented with capital R. This whole thing is collection is represented by small r. Right? Any doubts at this point of time? Anyone? Any questions? Right. Now, there are certain characteristics of these relations. Relation means it's a table. Okay. Each value is derived from an appropriate domain. That means for every attribute you are going to represent or specify some particular domain. What should address contain? What should telephone number contain, like that. A relation may be regarded as a set of tuples. That is what I said. Relation means what? Relation is nothing but a table. A table is always considered as a set of tuples. So this entire set of tuples, I call it as a, it's always, relation is considered to consist of this set of tuples. Columns in the table are also called as attributes. We have seen that. Ordering of tuples. Tuples means rows. Attributes means columns. Tuples are not considered to be ordered physically. That means you don't have to maintain any order in this case. You can put however, enter the details however you want. There is no order. Physically, there is no order to be maintained when you enter all these 5 records. You can enter it in any order. Okay, that is what it meant. Not considered to be ordered physically, even though they appear to be in a tabular form, obviously. That's an order, but it is in the table form, that's all. But how, which record should come after which record I should enter first, there is no such rule. You can enter any record in any order. Many logical orders can be specified, that we'll see later. Right? So that is what is given here. Ordering of attributes. Again, ordering of, we saw this ordering of records. Again, in terms of ordering of attributes, how should I order them? Can SSN come first and name go second? Yes, you can. There is no order again in that. However I want, I can put my attributes. It is a list of values, that's all. Ordering of attributes in the relation schema are. You don't have to maintain any order. If I say attribute is USN, value also should be a related value to that. I cannot say USN and put a name value. That becomes wrong. Okay. See here. Order of attributes and their values is not important as long as the correspondence between the attributes and value is maintained. That should be there. But you don't have to say, okay, SSN, I should always put it as a first column. Name should always be second column. Not at all necessary. You can put date of birth also as first column, salary as first column. No problem. There is no order that need to be maintained. But when I say salary, I cannot enter a date of birth value. The correspondence between the attribute and the value should be maintained. Right? Okay. Look at this part. Each value is an atomic value. That means a value which you cannot divide further. That means you cannot have any composite attribute is not allowed. If you have a composite attribute, example for a composite attribute is what? Name. So if I say name, I can take name as just an attribute. But if you want the components of name to be there, first name, last name, middle name, then I have to store them only as the attributes itself as like that. I cannot store it as name in that case. Attribute name will never come. I will only store first name, last name and middle name. Composite and multi-valued attributes are not allowed because name is a composite value. If you are not interested in the components, if you are not interested in the first name, last name, middle name, store it as name as we did in the lab and all. But if you are interested in first name, last name and middle name, then you cannot have an attribute called as name. You should remove that. Name should be removed, but you should include first name, last name and middle name. Multi-valued attributes. We saw in the last class how we can have a multi-valued attribute. We should create a separate table for multi-valued attributes. You cannot have it in the same table. Right? So see, look at the third point. Composite attributes are always represented by their simple component attributes. So if you want address, only address, keep it as address. But if you are interested in street name, city and state, then I cannot store address as an attribute, but I have to store city as an attribute, state as an attribute, street name as an attribute, like that. Components I have to include it. Right? Null values, we said in the last couple of classes, we said there can be 3 reasons why the values may not be existing. Value is unknown, value is not applicable, then value is there but I don't know the value. All these reasons your attributes can take null values unless, as long as your attribute is not a primary key, it can take null values. Value is unknown. That means I don't know the value of that. Fax number is there, but I don't know the value of fax number. So I leave it null. Value exists but not available. Height of a person is there, but I don't know the value of the height. So it becomes null. It's not applicable for me. I stay in an independent house, so apartment number is not applicable for me. So like this, these are the reasons why your attributes may take a null value. Any questions at this point of time? Any doubts, any questions so far?
No, ma'am.
Right. I am pausing after every 5 minutes or after a particular concept so that if you have any doubts, I can still repeat and make it clear.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah, tell me.
Ma'am, the third point of values and nulls. Third point, can you explain again? Values and nulls. Values and nulls in the
Third point. Okay,
equals.
composite attributes are represented by their simple components, component attributes in the basic relation table. Yes, I will explain this. See what we have done here. I'll take this example. We have here an attribute called as name. Correct? Name is generally, suppose I'm going to consider, name can be considered as a composite attribute because name is made up of components like first name, middle name, last name. Correct? Yeah. Now, if I am interested in the values of first name, last name, and middle name, those are the components. Okay? Then I cannot have name as an attribute here. This should not come. Whereas I should have 3 more attributes. Instead of name, I should have first name. I should have next attribute as last name. Third attribute, I should have middle initial. Then the rest of it I can have. But here in this example, we are seeing that we are not interested, it looks like, in these components. That's why I am not storing them at all. I'm just taking it as name and going ahead. Similarly, address. In address is a composite attribute. That means address is going to contain street number, city, state, pin code, all this it is going to contain. Okay. Now, if I'm not interested in those components, I'm not bothered which city or which country or whatever. So I will simply store it as address and store whatever I want here in the same attribute. But if I am giving importance to that city and state and pin code, then I cannot have an attribute here as address. I should have an attribute city, I should have an attribute state, I should have an attribute pin code, and so on. That means I'm storing these components of the composite attribute. I will not have address also in that case. Okay, that is what is stored. Composite attributes are represented by their simple component attributes in the relational model. Which are the component attributes of address? Is a composite attribute. How do you represent it? By their simple components. That is your city, state, and pin code. If I'm not interested in that, simply store it as address. Am I clear to you, Raman? Is it clear?
Ma'am.
Yeah, good. Any other questions? Anyone? Right. So let us go further. Relational model notations. Okay. So when I say a schema, relation schema R is of degree n. N means what? Degree n means what? There are n number of columns in the table. So that I can represent it as R of A1, A2, A3 up to AN. That means what? R is the name of the table or R is the name of the relation. A1, A2, A3 and all are all different attributes. How many attributes are there? N number of attributes are there. Okay. A tuple. Tuple means what? Tuple is nothing but a row. Each row is called, yes, each row is called as a tuple. Now, tuple in a relation, I can show it as T is equal to V1 to Vn. What is V1? First value, second value, third value, fourth value, and so on. That means V1 is associated with this attribute A1. V2 is a value for this attribute A2. Vn is a value for this attribute An. Every row is made up of a set of values corresponding to the attributes that you have defined. All right. So Vi belongs to Ai. Now, whenever you are writing a relational model, always you make use of these capital alphabets for representing the table names or the relation names. Relation states are represented by small numbers. State means what? Collection of those records, you know, that is called as relation state. TUV are tuples. So this is how you represent. See example, look at that. Student is a relation consisting of attributes USN, name, address. That is called as a relation schema. Relation followed by a set of attributes. You call it as relation schema. Next, what we are showing? Student, we are showing some values. 111 Meena, 508 RR Nagar. This represents one particular tuple. Tuple means one particular row from the current relation state. Relation state means what? The collection of those records. I have 5 records. In that, this is representing one particular record. This is representing one particular record. It is called one tuple. Now, how do I access the attributes? I use the notation R dot A. R is the name of the table or the relation. A is the name of the attribute. So student dot name means I am trying to access the name attribute of the table student or name column of the relation student. Everything is the same. Student dot address. I am trying to access the address column of the table student. These are the notations that we use in case of relation model. Any doubts? Any doubts, anyone? All right. Next, look at the example. Customer. Customer is a relation. Relation means what? Customer is a table. Okay. So customer is a table followed by customer. What are the attributes of this table or the relation? Customer ID, customer name, address, phone number. This becomes a relational schema. The relation name or the table name followed by the set of attributes is what you call it as schema. Each row in the customer table may be referred to as a tuple, row. Okay. And would consist of 4 values. 1 value for customer ID, 1 for name, 1 for address, 1 for phone number. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, good. Yes, ma'am. Tell me.
Can a tuple having attribute null be considered as a valid tuple, ma'am?
Valid tuple, yes. You can consider it as long as that attribute can take a null value. Suppose you are, if you are leaving out, if your attribute is a primary key, then you cannot have null value for that.
Okay. Okay.
Or if I have myself put a check on a particular attribute, let's say name as an attribute. Name as an attribute is not a primary key, but still I have put a constraint saying I have put a not null constraint. Let's say that not null means name should not be left null. Okay, that is my rule. So in that case also your name cannot take a null value.
Null value.
Otherwise, yes. Otherwise your tuple can have a null value. It is still a valid state. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is an example belonging to a customer relation. So we have given some examples like customer ID, name, this is the address and then the phone number, right? One particular row. Right. Now we are coming to an important concept, which is relational model constraints. What are constraints? As I told you, constraints are some kind of restrictions or some kind of limitations that you are imposing on the database. So once I say a constraint, once I define a constraint, it should hold for all the records. You cannot say, okay, one record can accept null value, another record need not accept null value. That is wrong. Okay. Once I am defining some constraints, it could be even anything. I'll come to that. So any constraint I am trying to define, it should hold for all the rows, all the records that you are entering. It should hold. Okay. Now, various restrictions can be specified on a relational database. Let us see what are the possible constraints. Now, there can be constraints which you can impose on the table as a whole. For the whole table, I am going to impose. Or I try to impose a constraint only for a particular column, not for all the columns. Like that also I can impose. There are different constraints. There are different levels of constraints. Okay. Now, there are three important categories of constraints that you can apply. Three important categories. What is the first one? Implicit constraints. Constraints that are inherent in the data model. Implicit. Okay, that means by default, it is a implicit constraint. Explicit means constraints that are directly expressed in the schema. I am trying to give some constraint, not null constraint I give. I say age should be, okay, that is a not null constraint. Say, if you are trying to specify using a DDL. For example, I want employee ID to be a primary key. That is something which I am specifying using the DDL statements. That can be expressed in the schema of the data model. I call it as an explicit constraint. Right? Now, third type of constraint is application-based or semantic constraints, or you call it as business rules. Now, based on your organization, you may have to, or based on your application, you may have to impose or define some constraint. For example, I told voter voter cannot be less than 18 years of age. That's a business rule. Okay, when I try to do an election database, only in that context, I will impose a constraint on the age of the voter. So voter should not be less than 18 years of age is a business constraint or a semantic constraint or application-based constraint. So there can be three important categories of constraint: inherent or implicit constraints. Constraints that are there, built-in constraints are there, certain built-in constraints that are that you don't have to specify, already that constraint is there. You can't do certain things. Okay, those are all built-in constraints, inherent or implicit. Schema-based or explicit constraint, which you try to impose it using your DDL statements. That is your schema-based or explicit constraint. One important one is your primary key constraint, your foreign key constraints. These are all explicit constraints. Application based, as I told you, maybe for certain column, I don't want to make my employee names. All the employees who come into my organization, nobody should have a null name. Nobody should have a name which is null. It should not accept only. So that is a application based. I will put a not null constraint on that particular column. As I told you, my students, all my students in the department of MCA should be more than 22 years of age. That is again an application constraint or a semantic constraint, business rule it is. So these are the three categories of constraints. Let us go into the details. Okay. Now, another main type of constraints. This explicit constraints, you can have it into 4 different categories. Domain constraints, key constraints and constraints on null values, entity integrity, referential integrity. All this we have already seen in our lab programs and in whatever examples we have taken so far. Only thing is, we don't know that it is called as referential constraint or integrity. We do not know that it is called as entity integrity. That's all. But we have seen everything already. Okay. Any doubts so far? Any questions? So let me pause for a moment. Any questions? Ma'am, can you please explain what? Relational attribute. There is nothing called relational attribute, Akrut. It's an attribute. Relation is a table. Table is also called as a relation. So a table can have a set of attributes. That's all. There is nothing called as relational attribute. No. Okay. Any other questions? Right. Now let us move on. Domain constraints. Right. Now, what do we mean by domain constraint? What is a domain? What is a domain? Can I have some answers? What is a domain? What is a domain?
All possible value can attribute can have.
Yes, all the possible attributes that can, all the possible set of values that are allowed for a particular domain attribute, you call it as a domain, right?
Set of rows and columns also a domain.
No, set of rows and columns is not a domain. Set of rows and columns is not a domain. Domain means what is allowed for that particular attribute. That is what you call it as a, what values are allowed. We call always domains associated with an attribute.
Okay.
Ma'am,
Yeah, Rupak,
ma'am,
yes.
is it related to primary keys, means constraints for
Which one?
domains? Domains. Is it related to primary key?
Domain,
Domain.
no.
Domain. Yes.
See, when you generally you try to when you try to define domain, domain is nothing but what values that particular attribute can take. That's all. Okay, there is a limitation on the number of values that that particular attribute can take. That is why you call it as a domain constraint. It's a limitation. See here, look at this. Range of values that can be specified for each attribute. That is called as a domain constraint. Why to call it as a constraint? Because there is a limitation on how many values are allowed. You cannot allow every value for that particular attribute. As I told student, every student should be more than 22 years of age. So anybody less than 22 years, I cannot allow them. That means there is a restriction on the values that the age of a student can take. Are you getting me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that is what you call it as domain, right? Let's look into this. Now see here, domain constraint means what? Within each tuple, the value of each attribute must be an atomic value from that domain. Atomic value only you can have as an attribute. You cannot have an attribute which can take multi-valued attributes. You can take a composite attribute. You cannot have. That we have already seen. So each domain, or sorry, each attribute should have a certain data type. That also is a constraint only. It should have a data type. When I say age is a number, that itself is a constraint. You cannot put age as ABCD, right? So when I say it is data type is given for a particular attribute, that itself is a constraint. These are all implicit constraints. That means once I say number, it should be number only. It's understood. Data type means what? It can be integer, it can be real, it can be character, it can be of fixed length, variable length, date, time, etc. All these things. And you can specify the range of values for each attribute. This is what I said. What are the values that are allowed for that particular attribute? You call it as a domain of that attribute. Right? Okay. Next is a very important, very important concept, which is called as a key constraint. We have seen different types of keys: primary key, foreign key, right? Candidate key, composite key, right? Alternate key, secondary key, all that we have seen. Key itself is a constraint. Primary key itself is a constraint again, because once I declare USN as a primary key, what happens? I cannot put a null value for a primary key. I cannot put duplicate value for a primary key. Correct? These are all limitations. These are all nothing but restrictions on that USN as a column, USN as a attribute. So that itself is a primary key itself is a constraint only. Now, let us see what they say here. Here we are going to learn what is called as a super key. It's very important. They will ask you in your Viva and going ahead in your placements also. You should know the different types of keys: primary key, foreign key, super key, candidate key, composite key. All this difference you should know. Okay. Right. A relation is a set of tuples that we have seen already. Relation is a set of tuples means what? In other words, a table is a set of columns. Table is a set of rows, right? And all the elements of the set are distinct, obviously. Right. Now, what do we mean by super key? Super key means the set of all the attributes that is going to identify a particular record. You call it as a super key. That's all. What is super key? Set of all the attributes that is going to uniquely identify a particular record, you call it as a super key. That means, see here, by default, super key is nothing but set of all attributes. What is a super key for a customer table or a student table then? Here I have a table. Let me take this example. What are the attributes of this customer table? Customer ID, customer name, address, and phone number. Set of all these attributes together form your default super key. What is a super key for customer? Customer ID, customer name, address, and phone number. That's the default super key. Now, we also have something called as a minimal super key. Minimal super key means, I said default super key, set of all the attributes, we call it as default super key. What is minimal? I'll try to remove some attributes from that default super key. Still, I'm able to identify the record uniquely. Then I call as a minimum super key. You will go on removing until a point wherein you cannot further remove anything. In order to identify a record uniquely, then you stop there and you call it as a minimum super key. I will show you an example and then come back to this again. Look at this. We have a relation schema. What is a relation schema? Student is a table. It has all these attributes, USN, name, and address. Okay. What is a default super key? I said set of all the attributes you take off. Don't even think anything. It's nothing but a default super key. Now, what you should understand is this one. Minimal super key means what? I will try to remove something from this. I will remove address. So I have USN and name. Still I call it as a super key because I am able to, still I can identify because I have this USN, I can still identify every record. Right? So that is also USN and name is also called as a super key. I will remove name also. Still I can identify uniquely all the records because I have this USN. That is why, can I remove USN also and still identify records? No, I will not be able to do that. That is why I will call this USN as a minimal super key. What is a super key? Default super key. Set of all the attributes of that table. You call it as a default super key. What is minimal super key? When I go on removing, I come to a stage where I cannot further remove and still identify a record uniquely. That is where I call it as a minimal super key. When I remove address, I can still identify. So I don't call USN and name as a minimal super key. It's a super key, but it's not a minimal super key because I'm able to still identify after removing address. Then I will remove name. I'm able to still identify with respect to USN. But I cannot remove USN. If I remove USN, I cannot do anything. Then I call USN as a minimal super key. Let me take another example. Look at this example. We have order details as a table. Name of the table is what? Order details. What are the attributes? Order number, item number, quantity. These are the attributes of order table or order details table. What is default super key? I said take everything. Set of all the attributes, you call it as a default super key. So order number, item number, quantity, everything is a super, and together I call it as a super key, default super key. Now, I will try to remove something. I'll try to remove quantity. Right? So when I remove quantity, I have order number and item number. Still I'm able to identify all the records? Yes, I can identify. Now, if I remove item number, in this example, probably I cannot identify anything further. If I remove off item number, because order number and item number together, they are forming a combination of primary key they are. So if I remove one, I will not be able to identify uniquely every record. So I call them order number, item, both put together, I call it as minimal super key. Because here in this example, order number and item number is a combinational primary key it is. Like we had movie, name and year of release. Composite it is, right? You cannot identify a single primary key, so you combined it with something else. So I took movie name and year of release. In movie name and year of release, if I remove one of them, can I identify the records individually? uniquely? No. So movie name and year of release together becomes the minimal super key. Any doubts in this super key and minimal super key? It's very important concept. Any doubts? Minimal key, minimal super key and super key. Default super key. Default super key is a set of all the attributes. Simply take off every attribute. That's a default super key. Minimal is what you go on removing until a point where you cannot uniquely identify the records further. Then you stop at that point. That is called as a minimal super key. Generally, your primary key is your minimal super key. Take it that way. Primary key is also the minimal super key. Primary key could be a unique attribute. It could be a combination of attributes. Whatever it is. Primary key is always a minimal super key. See here. Here USN is a primary key. So USN is also a minimal super key. Whereas USN comma name is just a super key. It is not a minimal super because I can still identify uniquely all the records. So what did I say? I'll come back to the theory part. Default super key is nothing but set of all the attributes. What is minimal super key? It is a super key from which we cannot remove any attributes and still have the uniqueness constraint. It is a super key K such that removal of any attribute results in an attribute that is not in a super key. Look at the last point, which is very important, which I told you now. Minimal super key is called as a key attribute of the relation. So if your primary key is a combination of keys, then that combination of keys is a minimal super key. If your primary key is just one of the attribute like USN, customer ID, something like that, then customer ID is the minimal super key. Any doubts at this point? These are all very important concepts that you should know. What are the different keys? Differentiate between the different keys. You should definitely know the differences between the different keys. Otherwise, learning DBMS is of no use. Please don't attend class just for the sake of attendance. Ask me wherever you have doubts. Okay? Yeah. What's your attendance, Anaga?
Yes, ma'am.
Abhilash?
Yes, ma'am.
Akhil?
Yes, ma'am.
Masud?
Yes, ma'am.
Anusha?
Yes, ma'am.
Aravind?
Present, ma'am.
Harifula?
Yes, ma'am.
Janaka?
Present, ma'am.
Ranu?
Yes, ma'am.
Bhargav?
Yes, ma'am.
Rahantullah?
Present, ma'am.
Chaitra?
Present, ma'am.
Chandana?
Yes, ma'am.
Charan?
Yes, ma'am.
Darshan? Diksha? Diksha is not there today. Dakshayani?
Present, ma'am.
Kishan?
Present, ma'am.
Harshit?
Present, ma'am.
Hema? Uma?
Present, ma'am.
Present, ma'am.
Jayant?
Present, ma'am.
Divya? Kaushik?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Present, ma'am.
Yeah, present.
Lakshmi? Yeah. Lakshmi Lavanya? Okay.
Present,
Manish?
ma'am. Both of them.
Yeah.
Ma'am, present, ma'am.
Manoj?
Present, ma'am.
Mohit?
Yes, ma'am.
Naval?
Present, ma'am.
Navya?
Present, ma'am.
Akhil?
Present, ma'am.
Mahendra?
Present, ma'am.
Pavan?
Yes, ma'am.
Pooja?
Present, ma'am.
Purnima?
Yes, ma'am.
Raman?
Present, ma'am.
Rasmi?
Present, ma'am.
Rupak?
Yes, ma'am.
Sai Kumar?
Present, ma'am.
Samir?
Present, ma'am.
Santosh?
Present, ma'am.
Shadab?
Present, ma'am.
Karan? Shashank?
Present, ma'am.
Sheetal?
Present, ma'am.
Shivani?
Present, ma'am.
Soumya? Spurti,
Present, ma'am.
Vishnu,
Present, ma'am.
Gandhini,
Present, ma'am.
Shma, Sushmita,
Present, ma'am.
Sushmita, you,
Present, ma'am.
Tita,
Present, ma'am.
Tripti, Tripti is not there today. Okay, mark her absent. Harsha, Veena.
Present, ma'am.
Ma'am, Darshan Kumar present, ma'am.
Yeah, Darshan is present, Sharon is present. Diksha, you were not there in the list. Now you joined in now.
No,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
Sharon
Network issue.
Okay, Tripti is not there. She's absent for the day. Then rest are there. Looks like that. Yeah, only Tripti is absent. All are present. Okay. Yes, students. Then that's all for today's class. We'll meet on Monday. Have a great weekend. Thank you all. Yeah, tell me.
Ma'am, can you share first module notes, ma'am?
Sorry,
First module notes, ma'am.
I've already shared. No, long back. Did you all not get others? I asked also. Somebody told we have all got it.
Ma'am, I got only those comments, ma'am. 2 documents I got.
First mail that I sent you all was the SQL basic commands. The second mail I sent you all was the first module notes along with the important, the questions that will cover up in the module 1. And in the next class, when I came, I asked some of you all before I started the class whether you all received. You all answered. Some of them answered that they have received. So I kept quiet. What about others? Have you all not received it?
We received,
I'll
ma'am.
check once again, ma'am.
Yeah, then check your mail, Dakshayani.
No. I'll check and come back.
Yeah, please.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, anything else?
Ma'am,
Okay, thank you, students. Yeah, Shadab, yes.
ma'am, I was present in yesterday class. There was some mic
Yesterday's
issue.
class, you are telling me now, then what I should do?
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
Rashmi
Sharon
also.
present, ma'am.
I told for today's class, Tripti is absent, rest all is present. You didn't hear me.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
For yesterday's class, ma'am.
Hey, yesterday's class, you don't come back like this. It's really difficult. Yesterday's class, I have marked you present only, Rashmi. That day's class, before I end, you should tell me if you are really present. Otherwise, absent means absent. That's all. Right?
Yes.
Anything else? All right. Thank you, students. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.